Hi, everyone. We are back once again with Dr. Hardt. Dr. Hardt, thank you so much for making the time for us today.
Oh, Doug, it's a joy. And you have given me a giggle fest here by talking about some of the things that you want to hear about.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, this is a great time for me selfishly to learn so much more about what you've spent the last 40 years doing research that's been published and all the stories and people you've helped from around the world. It's absolutely fascinating. Well, Dr. Hart, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What got me thinking about this as it relates to my life and the things that I'm involved in. Do you ever offer specialty trainings for special groups or things like that?
Well, yes, we do. And I think it's curious that we don't have this called out on the website. Maybe that's something that we could do because there are a variety of specialty trainings that we have offered. One is like trainings on a theme. For example, we had a group of scientists from Stanford Research Institute come to focus on the theme of expanding creativity. So all of the dialogues, all of the conversations were about creativity, what it is, how to enhance it, what are the components. For example, creativity is so important that it's been much studied. There are four elements. One is the paying your dues stage, where you learn the data of the field and, more importantly, the good questions. The second stage is incubation, where you take one of those good questions and you incubate. Then, when you have a burst of alpha, you have the third stage, the illumination or the eureka, I found it stage. And then the fourth stage is go back to your lab and verify, go back to your bench or whatever. And so, creativity, the alpha form of creativity, is well understood what the components are. But what has been lacking up until now is a way to produce more of the brainwaves that are good for incubating and essential for the illumination. And we have that. So groups of people can come in and focus on creativity. Now, this leads to a very special type of creativity. We offer a specialty training for writers. It turns out that the Muse for writers is accessible in alpha particularly. And I've worked with writers who, for example, one famous writer he'd written 16 books, had won international acclaim, and then he fell into writer's block. And for 2.5 years, he was unable to write. He was darkly talking about suicide to his friends because to live was to write. And if he couldn't write, why to live? And so he came in and we solved his problem almost immediately, knew what it was, and gave him what brain areas to work on, and he did. And by the third day of the training, his entire 16th book got written. He had a little pocket tape recorder, and he'd like go into alpha and get a download from the Muse, and then talk into the tape recorder, and then go into alpha, get another download from the Muse, and then talk into the tape recorder. And by the end of the day, third day, his entire 17th book was written. But what was interesting then was we had 4 more days left. So I put on my Sherlock Holmes hat and we went in search of who done it. How did this famous writer get into writer's block for 2.5 years? And that was an interesting story, fascinating story. And we can perhaps tell that another time. Another type of training, that specialty training, is one that's currently under design. There is a group of Vedanta meditators, a deep tradition in yoga, and we are designing a version of this where we will have, in addition to the regular Biocybernaut trainers, we will have a Vedanta yoga teacher. And all of the themes of the training will be dedicated to developing the wisdom tradition that is known in Vedanta. And so there are many ways. Now, sometimes there'll be a family that comes in and they have a problem. Maybe one or more family members have some kind of a problem. Maybe it's a behavioral problem. Maybe it's a substance addiction. Maybe it's a series of bad attitudes. And so together as a family, they go through and, when you do family constellation work, you understand how you are connected energetically to all of the other members in your family. And so if you undergo the processes of healing, growth, and transformation with the members of your family at the same time, then there's no re-entry issue. Like, you've now changed and you're going back into a family which is still stuck in old patterns. And so the idea of coming as a group to train is profound. Now, it is possible for you to, in fact, I actually did a scientific study and a publication in a peer-reviewed journal on the effects of somebody doing the training and then going back to their family or their tribe. In Canada, we had a scholarship sponsor who provided the training to over 200 Canadian Aboriginals. Because of the racism and the cultural abuse and cultural suppression, PTSD in the Aboriginal culture is in some cases worse than in returning war veterans. And so we trained over 200 Canadian Aboriginals, chiefs and medicine men and council members and grandmothers and grandchildren and everyone in between. And so what the scholarship sponsor reported, because he had his ear to the ground, was that he seemed to be detecting benefits in when people go back to their tribe. There seemed to be benefits to people who just interacted with somebody who had done the training. And so he asked me to design a study to do that. And I was able to confirm that family members, people in their friendship networks, and for those who had jobs, their co-workers were all experiencing measurable benefits from one person going back after having done the training. We say that higher consciousness is protagious. Diseases are contagious, but higher consciousness is protagious. Now, there is a benefit here for group trainings, because one of the things that I observed was that if one person from 10 different families in a reservation on a tribe did the training, that was profoundly beneficial. But if 10 members from the same family did the training and then went back, they were like a radiating nucleus of higher consciousness that more profoundly influenced the tribe than if 10 members from 10 separate families did. So coming as a group is always wonderful.
Oh, I absolutely love it. And there's so many more stories to unpack there, Dr. Hardt, as always. You're such a wealth of knowledge. It's absolutely fantastic to be able to spend a
delight to share this knowledge with you, Doug.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Dr. Hardt. I look forward to next time.
Hi, I'm Tony Robbins. Listen, if you are looking to improve your brain, your psyche, your ability, your emotions, your ability to really maximize your performance, and you want to really dig into your brain, my dear friend, Dr. Jim Hardt, and his Biocybernaut program is extraordinary. I've been through it myself. My wife Sage has, members of my family have, and we found it to be truly extraordinary. But it is not for the faint at heart. Unless you're dead serious about really taking things to the next level, don't bother. We went through the Alpha program designed to maximize your ability to create alpha waves. And it was challenging and it was incredibly rewarding. And I'd recommend it to anybody serious about improving the quality of their lives or including the quality of their family lives as well. So check out Cybernaut, check out Dr. Jim Hardt. And if you do, I think you'll be really, really pleased. And the entire time you are learning to think and how you think these electrodes create sounds. And you learn how to put yourself in the zone of alpha. But it's a bitch. It's horrible. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody that wants easy experiences, but I'd recommend it to anybody that wants to grow immensely. And by the first day, I'm like, who do I got to shoot to get out of this thing? Oh, it's me. I'm the one that did this shit. Right? But by the end of the week, all three of us were able to go into this state of alpha. And if you're familiar with alpha, the best way I can describe alpha is there's no problem that can't be solved in alpha. Because every problem that we have was created by us.
Thank you for being here and absorbing this information about the science of brainwaves and about the stories of people whose lives have been beneficially altered, improved by doing brainwave training at Biocybernaut. And now I'm reaching out to you to invite you to come and be a part of the Biocybernaut adventure. Biocybernauts are to inner space what astronauts are to outer space. So come and adventure with us. And if you'd like to leave a comment on the videos, you can do that, or there's a link you can click if you'd like to learn more. We welcome you to Biocybernaut.